Hello, good afternoon. My name is Simon Freelove and I'm part of the Abundant Life Church in Newport in Gwent. I'm a Valleys boy and was born in Tredegar and raised in Ebervale. I was brought up in a Christian home, and my childhood years and my teenage years were very happy years. However, during those years, my life was blighted by same-sex attraction. This occurred because during my early years, about the age of 8, my sexuality was inappropriately woken up along with some other guys in the street. This was done by an older guy, and this carried on for a period of time, and then it carried on with me and just me and this other guy well into my teenage years. This eventually led me to pursuing a homosexual lifestyle, although I had dated girls in my teenage years. However, this led me to pursue homosexuality, and I hit the gay scene very hard in Swansea, in Cardiff, and in fact Cardiff was the first place where I went to a gay club, and in London. During this time I would hook up with guys in the clubs. I would go to gay saunas, and eventually when I moved to Newport, I had a few relationships, and I would meet guys on Gaydar. To a certain degree, I loved my sin. I loved the identity that it brought, and I thought it was quite fashionable to a certain degree as well, and I enjoyed it. However, there was a lot of depression that came with this. I had a lot of anger. I was very argumentative. I suffered with rejection. Many guys rejected me, and I would obsess over them. In fact, homosexuality is very cannibalistic, and it's like fire and death. It never has enough. It's all consuming. This led to a lot of heaviness. The only way I can describe it is like heat haze in the summer. I go out on sunny days and I just have this heaviness that would come upon me, this heavy depression. And, you know, during this time as well, I used to struggle in the night with what you call sleep paralysis or night terrors, where something is holding you down and you couldn't speak. And I suffered with that almost weekly. Even later on, just monthly, but it was a frequent occurrence, and all kinds of stuff like that. There was a lot of anger, a lot of heaviness that was in my heart, and by the time I left the gay scene, I just felt like a dead man. I just felt like a corpse. I wasn't satisfied with my lot in life. I was very disillusioned by the whole thing, because many guys just didn't want relationships. They just wanted to be promiscuous. However, in 2012, I had an encounter with Christ. One night while I was asleep, I saw him in a dream. I saw him quite clearly. He was like in disguise, and he had like a soberly peace across his face. And during this period, when I saw him, we discussed my life. It was like an interview. He wasn't looking at me directly. His face was turned away, but I saw no sternness in his face. I saw compassion in his face, but also I saw soberly peace, that we wasn't just on first term buddies. And the experience quite cut me to the heart. It wasn't a pleasant experience either. About a month later, in a midweek meeting, I went to Maldwyn Holland's church that night, and he was giving a Bible study. And that night, I read Corinthians in the meeting about the sexually immoral man. And when I read it, I just started to weep. And then Maldwyn Holland turned his head to me and he said, "Simon, let it out." And like there was about 20 people there, and I just started weeping and weeping. And it got louder and louder. And then I went out to him, and he prayed for me. And he led me in a prayer of repentance, and I renounced my homosexuality. After that, I've never looked back. I've never been with a guy ever since. In the 8 years that I've been walking with the Lord, I have not hooked up with a guy. I have forsaken that lifestyle. I have no desire for the gay scene at all. However, my journey has not been difficult. There's been times when I struggled with the same-sex attraction and stuff like that. But, you know, God has been very gracious, you know. during my time in the gay scene, I just felt my heart getting heavier and heavier. But since I've been following Jesus and meditating on the scriptures, I have felt my heart more at peace, and I felt my spirit getting lighter and lighter. Do you know something? The Christian life is not an easy life, but it's a life of peace. It's a life of joy. It's a life of love. God has done so much for me. He has touched my heart. He has healed me. And, God is love. And, all I ever wanted was love. All I ever wanted was a friend. Since I've turned to Christ, I have a friend. I have a friend who truly loves me, who knows the best about me, and he also knows the worst about me. I will never regret turning to Christ.